I'm Stephan Palmie. I am the Norman and Edna Freehling Professor of Anthropology at the University of Chicago. I have mainly worked in the Caribbean region, specifically Cuba, on Afro-Cuban ritual traditions, but have branched out into other fields of inquiry in recent years as well. Well, on the one hand, I've always been interested in historicizing what my ethnography has brought to light. I've emphasized less the African origins of these traditions than the ways in which creative agency has actually led to the current phenomenology of, hesitate to call them religions, because that already loads the question. Beyond that, I've worked on questions of epistemology, and most recently in my last book, Thinking with Ngangas, I have engaged in a thought experiment to try to analyze, shall we say, techno-scientific complexes in light of, the data that my ethnography has brought to bear on them. So I talk about transplant surgery, early electroacoustics, analog electroacoustics, historiography, and run these through what I've called the mangle of practice provided by confrontation with Afro-Cuban ritual forms. I'm both, in a sense, I've been both trained in history and anthropology, so I've done archival research, but I would argue that ethnography is still, in many ways, the royal road, and ethnography in a kind of very traditional sense, that is person-to-person conversation and also naturalistic or observation of naturalistic occurring conversation between my interlocutors, which often I thought is way more productive asking questions. And particularly if you're dealing with cultural forms which practitioners themselves regard as esoteric, so you can talk about them, but you can't ask any questions. That's one of the tricky parts about that. There is a contingent among the current fellows that works on Brazil or other Afro-Atlantic traditions, and that's there are clear points of contact. Just thinking about my own ethnographic stuff as a kind of a possible prototype for the category of religion, even though I personally, you may have noticed, I talk about ritual traditions. I don't think. I mean, some of these traditions actually became religion. In the 1980s, I worked with an Oba Oriate, which is a cowrie shell diviner, at that point was talking about turning Santeria into a bona fide religion. And I said, okay, Ernesto, you do that, sort of good luck with it. And he did, because he actually won a US Supreme Court case legalizing animal sacrifice in 1993. It recognized them as a religion. For example, there was a hilarious question from the judge at one point in an earlier trial, asking Ernesto Pichardo was the guy's name, whether his religion had a holy book. And he said, yes, of course. And the judge said, well, can you produce the book? And he said, no, because it's not written. It's Ifa, it's the divination system. So it reveals itself in momentary constellations, which can be done endlessly. I mean, the number of combinations is, it's like 256 different kinds of signs which are, occur in combination of at least two. But that's the book. Of course, that goes against any kind of rules of recognition that the American legal system had at that point, but, they lost the first trial and then it went on to the Supreme Court.